If you are depressed, but you aren't getting enough sleep, that could be one of the biggest problems. And you may be saying, but I can't sleep, or I don't have enough time, or my body just won't go to sleep at night. Well, we have some solutions in this podcast for you. We have lots of information for you today about sleep, the mechanics of sleep, why we need sleep, and beds. Beds is going to be a big topic today. Pillows, sheets, all that stuff. People don't often think about that. And we spend at least a third of our life in our bed. So if you're sleeping in a bed that's synthetic, toxic materials inside of it, and how much do you spend on your car? And yet people don't want to spend a few $1,000s on a really good 100% natural bed. You're sticking your face in the thing for a third of your life. If you cannot do anything else, buy a 100% organic, either cotton or natural latex, natural wool pillow. And we're talking 100%. There's a lot of advertisements out there that will say, oh, this is organic, but it's usually only a part. You really have to shop savvy when you're looking for organic bed products. So if you were going to do one thing, spend $100, $120 and get yourself a really good, clean pillow with a clean organic cover on it. Organic Living Arizona, Gerard, is fantastic. If you want to support a small business, he only carries 2 beds right now. And when I talked to him, I was interested in buying an organic bed for me. And at the time, I had a king-sized bed, and we'd replaced it with 2 twins because the king size was so uncomfortable. I'd inherited the Sleep Number bed when Sleep Number was like air. It was horrible. It was just the worst bed. I'd wake up sore every day. So I got these 2 hand-me-down twin mattresses, and if you didn't know, 2 twins is the same size as a king, so we just had to put them together on the platform, and we had a king-size bed out of 2 twins. Well, I had saved enough money that I could buy 1 twin organic mattress. I was really excited, and I went to Gerard and was doing some research and asking him some questions, and he goes, I carry the only 2 100% organic beds available. And I'm thinking, oh no. No, I've heard of lots of organic beds. There's lots of companies that sell organic beds. He must be just trying to sell me his bed. Is he really being honest? I had a day where I was on the fire line, in Wildland Fire, and there's a lot of hurry up and wait in that job. So we had hurried up, and then we were just waiting. So I had a good full day that I could just be on my phone and do research on beds. And I spent a good 8 hours researching organic beds. Sure enough, he was right. He sold the only 2 100% organic beds. Most of them are just organic for like an inch. They're not 100%. And so if you're going to spend the high ticket item price on a bed, because there's a lot of organic companies out there that'll try to sell you their clean beds, the only 2 really clean beds are Savvy Rest and Green Harvest that I am aware of. And he carries those 2 beds. He also sells all the pillows and the sheets. I got my organic sheet set from Boll & Branch. They're very reasonably priced. In addition to the pillow and the pillowcase, I would also get wool waterproof pads that cover the mattress because it will seal in a lot of those chemicals. It's designed to do that. So you can get that from Organic Living Arizona as well. Other things you could do if you can't afford a good mattress right now, which a lot of people can't, just, drop several $1,000s, is to get those charcoal bags. You can get them off Amazon. Keep them in your room and it'll absorb some of those toxins. You take them outside, let the sun air them out every couple months and bring them back in. A lot of people think that your bed is going to off-gas and then you're good. That is not the case with beds because most beds, almost all of them, have memory foam in them now. And the older the bed gets, the more toxic, the more off-gassing the memory foam produces, which is different than maybe paint, for example. But it's Savvy Rest and Green Harvest are the 2 that I'm aware of that are completely clean. They're the only beds I would buy. Most of my beds, honestly, are hand-me-downs that are like really old and don't have any memory foam in them. But I do have those covers on every single one of my beds. The twin that I did buy, it's on my son's bed now. But it's funny because when I was so excited, I finally got my organic bed, half of one anyway, for my king bed. Fate would have it that my sweet son, who's now 15, was maybe 5 at the time. He comes in the middle of the night, snuggles into my bed, and pees on it. I was so sad.
Well, I'm glad. He's probably going to love this part of the podcast.
Oh my gosh. I was like, are you kidding me? Couldn't you sleep on the other side of the bed? my fault for not getting a cover for it at that time, but yeah.
Yeah, so word of advice, if you have little kids, make sure you have a cover,
Yes.
just to be safe. I was also going to toss this in there. I know some people have back issues. They have a 360 lounge chair. They go for a few $100s, but if you have back issues and you need to find someplace comfortable to sleep in, the 360s actually work for those of you that might have back issues. Look into something like that.
Yeah, with your organic pillow, it could be really great.
Right.
No, there's so many solutions if you have trouble sleeping. And even if you feel like you're sleeping okay, these are improvements or goals that I would encourage you to consider investing in, just because over time, the chemicals in all of the things around us, but I would say especially your bed, do accumulate and affect us in negative ways, and can affect depression as well. I asked ChatGPT. I know, but I couldn't find an answer online. Oh. I couldn't find it. I was like, how many chemicals are in our beds? I need a number, and I couldn't find it on Google. So I asked ChatGPT, and it said that anywhere from dozens to hundreds of chemicals, which was what I thought, depending on the materials used, how it was manufactured, etc., etc. There's quite a few chemicals in the modern bed. Natural beds, again, like natural materials, is you're going to have the cotton, the natural latex, and again, it's going to be very costly. But there's the cheap options that I've described, and then there's the I'm willing to invest in this or save for this so that I can better my future.
And I'll throw this out there too. I realize a lot of these natural items are costly, but what value do you put on your health?
Right. Your health is going to cost you a lot more, and your mentality, your day-to-day, even if, it's just not worth it to me. I think it pays off dividends. Like, we're talking thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars if you prioritize your health, despite it costing a little or a lot more in some cases. What are you willing?
Preventive.
What are you willing to do to make it happen? And I know there's some people listening, they're like, I don't have that kind of money. Well, God is good. God is amazing at finding solutions. Someone might offer you, or you'll get an inheritance, or just when you need something and you want it and God wants it for you too, He'll always provide a way. That's just been my experience.
Yeah, my one friend is incredible with this. One time he needed new chairs. So he said a prayer, went on Craigslist, and boom.
Yeah,
there were
it can
new
be that
chairs.
fast.
And he just went and got them. I mean, it was like cheap. If you trust God and you pray. Again, now you have to realize when you pray to God and ask Him for things, He's going to give you what you need, not necessarily what you want.
Right. Well, and the amazing thing about these organic beds, a lot of the beds that you buy at the store that have all the synthetic materials in them, bed bugs like them. They do have chemicals to deter the bed bugs, but latex, it's dense, but it has these holes in it, and so it tends to foster mold and moisture over time. Bed bugs like those kind of things, so you get those kind of issues with those kind of beds when they're old. The completely organic beds, especially with the wool is a flame retardant, a natural flame retardant, and bed bugs don't like it. So you can have a really old organic bed. You can find someone who's given away a 20-year-old organic bed, and it can be pretty dang clean, like compared to getting a 20-year-old not organic bed. So when I was a firefighter, I also learned that most of the products that we own have petroleum in them because petroleum byproducts are very cheap. The reason our beds require flame retardants is because they're very flammable because of the petroleum that's in the beds. They just, so that goes for houses, the glues, and all of that stuff. So here's the first chemical, benzene. And I'm just going to read this. It's a chemical commonly used in the creation of plastics, dyes, and synthetic fibers, and more. It is one of the most common VOCs typically released from mattresses through off-gassing. It can be found in polyurethane foams used in many types of mattresses, including memory foam and some hybrids or inner spring mattresses. The CDC's guide to benzene says that it causes damage by preventing the cells from working as they are supposed to. If you're exposed to small amounts for a short period of time, this causes short-term dizziness or headaches, but long-term exposure can lead to anemia or immune system dysfunction. The second one is propylene oxide and TDI, or toluene diisocyanate or something, are chemicals used to create polyurethane foam and memory foam. The CDC has announced that both of these are associated with increased tumor risk in mice and rats. Dibutylin can cross the placenta in mammals and accumulate in the brain, where it acts as a potent neurotoxin, killing brain cells. Fun. Vinyl, which to me is the most tragic because most of our baby beds have the vinyl on them. These are our babies. My kid's baby bed has this, but again, I put one of those wool covers over it to protect him from the vinyl. I prayed about it and God said, no, the wool's fine. So that's what I did. But vinyl is that waterproof cover over a lot of those infant mattresses. As vinyl is exposed to heat, moisture, and remember, little Tommy's going to be wetting the bed on a regular basis, even if the diaper just overflows, right? So it's going to get wet. And air, it breaks down and leaches chemicals like phthalates and heavy metals like antimony. These can adversely affect reproductive health, fetal development, cause asthma and allergies, and childhood development and behavior. Yikes! Vinyl also contains dioxins that can cause birth defects, cancer, and changes in neurological development. So there's just 4 of them.
It goes on from there.
It goes on from there. And there's a book called Sleep Safe in a Toxic World by Walter Badar. And he compares the lack of regulations around mattresses to that of cigarettes in the 1930s. And I would tend to agree with him. It's not good. Not good. We could do better.
The natural remedies have almost been lost. Or actually, really, they are lost on
or buried, even. I don't think that
buried.
A lot of the forces want people to be enabled or have the power or the knowledge to do something themselves. They would like us to be dependent on their drugs, their system, their products. I don't think people who make beds are evil. I think that greed compounded over time has led to where we are, and the knowledge that is power can protect us from that.
Make sure you do have a good bed, and because that's also where you start getting into the necessity of sleep. The human body was not meant to run 24/7. It needs downtime, it needs processing time. Sleep recharges or resets the brain to optimize functioning. Sleep helps maintain cognitive skills such as attention, learning, and memory. And when you start having the lack of sleep, all those functions begin to be impaired.
Well, impaired driving through drunk driving is almost dwarfed by those who are not sleeping enough and then driving. And I can attest to that. There's been times when I've almost had an accident because I wasn't getting enough sleep and I was sleep deprived. And also, I'm not a very nice person. I don't do coffee, I don't do stimulants, so sleep and my mental health go hand in hand. If I am not getting good sleep, I start to decline very quickly. My husband considers my sleep sacred. He gets really mad if I'm staying up late doing a podcast. Why aren't you in bed? Because he knows he's going to be paying for it later with my grouchiness. And it's true. I have a really hard time being happy and feel like I'm depressed when I'm sleep deprived. I don't handle it well. So mental health and sleep goes hand in hand for me. I have to get sleep. And women, ironically, they did all of these studies in the old days when they said 7 to 8 hours of sleep was good. Most of their study participants were male. And they're now finding out that women need quite a bit more sleep than men. On average, women need at least 8 to 9, sometimes more. Just the way our bodies are, the way they work. And if I get maybe about 7 hours of sleep at night, I like to get a 2-hour to 3-hour nap. So I thrive on about 9 hours. And I've noticed that. Either I got to get it at night or I got to get a nap during the day. And that's just me.
Right. And sometimes you don't have a choice.
When you don't have a choice, when you are in a place in your life where I have to get up at this time, I have to go to work, I get home at midnight, and then I do it all over again, and this is just where I'm at right now. And you're getting 3 to 4. Changing your circumstance would be optimal. However, in the meantime, when you get to that, I'm exhausted, I can't even function, I'm so tired, is to tell yourself that even in those 3 to 4 hours, I got great sleep. Even if you didn't, you tell yourself, Lord, I am so grateful for those 3 to 4 hours that I got. Thank you for that rejuvenating sleep. And before you go to bed, and I've done this before, please, Lord, make these 3 to 4 hours act as 8. I need these 3 to 4 hours to act as 8. My sister Lindsay had to do that at one point when she was stretched so thin she couldn't get more than 3 to 4 hours in a night. And she had opted into this crazy schedule and then gone, what have I done? But there she was. And she prayed to the Lord to please make these 3 to 4 hours act as 8. I know you can do that for me. Rejuvenate my body. And if you're in that position, you can pray for that gift. Other things that can help you through the day that are not stimulants, because stimulants, you're basically borrowing time. It'll get you later. They'll keep you awake. They're stealing hours from your future. You're still not getting the rest that you need. Speaking of rest time, 11 o'clock. There's something about 11 p.m., no matter where you are in the world, your body knows what 11 p.m. is. And that's part of why jet lag's a thing, is because your body's regulating to that new location, and the timing of that location and how the magnetism feels, the polarity feels, it's just all of it. It's like, whoa, and you have to kind of body adjust. So 11 p.m., if you're not in bed by 11 p.m., you will need an extra hour of sleep for every hour you stay up past 11 p.m. So, for example, if you go to bed at 11 and you generally need 7 or 8 hours, let's just say it's 7, then you can wake up at 6 o'clock, no problem. Get through the day, should feel great. If you go to bed at midnight, you now need 8 hours. If you get up at 6, or even if you've slept till 7, well, I got 7 hours, your body couldn't rejuvenate fully because it now needed 8. If you stay up till 1, it now needed 9. So you're going to have to sleep until 10 or get a nap to make that up. And part of the reason 11 o'clock is so important, and it's especially important for teens who are growing, but for any human being, I have a little graph here that I printed off. So traditional Chinese medicine hours of organ cleansing. This has been a thousands of years type knowledge that I only just learned about a few years ago. So 11 to 1 a.m., you must be asleep for your gallbladder to get the rejuvenation that it needs. Liver is 1 to 3. Lungs are 3 to 5. Large intestine is 5 to 7. That's why in the morning, if you're pooping first in the morning, you're doing good. Like, you should be pooping first thing in the morning. A healthy body is one that you get up, you gotta go. A lot of the other organs, they can rejuvenate during the day just fine during waking hours. But these other, like the gallbladder, liver, and lungs, you gotta be asleep, or the body cannot do what it needs to do. Additionally, when you wake up in the morning, get outside within 30 minutes. I know I've said this before, but it regulates that circadian rhythm so that your body is saying, oh, it's daytime. And you don't want to turn on any lights in your house before you get outside. You don't want artificial light. It'll confuse the body. You want the rays from the sun, that infrared. There's a difference. And if you sleep with any lights on at night, it's going to be detrimental to your sleep as well, because even a pinpoint of light, there's studies that have shown that it sends messages to your body to halt melatonin production. It's just like, no, It's time to get up. I feel the light. And it's just artificial light, but you want your room to be pitch dark as possible. So put a cover on the window if there's light coming in from outside, and no night lights. Get your phone out of there. Any alarm clocks should not be by your head, for many reasons, but it should be dark in your room, and cover stuff up with blankets if you have to, or sheets, so they're not shining.
I started sleeping with a mask to cover the eyes, so I don't...
Yeah, that helps too.
It does help.
It helps
a
lot.
It really does, surprisingly.
My favorite mask, because I've tried a lot of masks that they're kind of uncomfortable. Nikin has the most amazing eye mask ever. It's an $80 mask, I think. It's got magnets in it. It feels like heaven. I've had it for years, and my son stole it from me because he loved it so much, so I don't have it anymore. But I need to get myself another one at some point.
There's something about kids stealing from their parents.
They know. This is good. This is so much better than my synthetic stuff. So, as far as stimulants to keeping you awake during the day, green magma. It's a green barley grass juice. Anything green or like fruit. Fruit is amazing for keeping you awake. When I worked a night shift, out of need, I ate fruit all night. It really did help. And instead of running in the morning or exercising in the morning, exercising midday to kind of wake yourself up. That can be a really good solution. So instead, use the morning to meditate, slow movements, getting up, getting outside, and then later in the day doing your workout.
At the end of the day, you need to listen to your body. If your body needs more sleep, let it have some sleep. A lot of times we put ourselves on a specific schedule, like it's noon, I have to eat lunch. It's 6, and I must eat dinner. No, if you listen to your body will tell you when you need sleep. Your body will tell you when you need to eat. If you start learning and listening, it becomes much easier, because nobody knows you better than you. Also, there are some exceptions. There's this one scientist, they used to sleep in 1 hour increments, and they would go 24 hours a day. But when you add up all those 1 hour increments, it was like about 8 hours for them.
Deep sleep does, and for most people, is important if you're not dreaming legitimately. Some people say they don't dream, and then other people say, oh yeah, you do, you just don't remember. If you don't get to that deep sleep, is that REM or RAM? I can never remember. Whichever one it is, you're not fully rejuvenating. So if you're not able to get into that deep sleep, that could be why you're so tired, even if you're getting a lot of sleep. Because you have to be able to get into that deep sleep. If you're taking a nap during the day, interestingly enough, if you don't have time to take a very long nap, maybe you have 30 minutes, it's better for you to only sleep 15 to 20. Because if you get into that deep sleep, after about 20 minutes, you start going into the deep sleep, and then you wake up in the middle of your deep sleep from the alarm, then you're worse off than you were before. But that 15-20 minute window is pretty good. However, if you have at least an hour and a half to take a nap, then you can take a nap that long. But if it's any less than an hour and a half, you're probably going to be waking yourself up in the middle of a deep sleep, and the naps don't end up being a power nap anymore. They end up being kind of a detriment to the rest of the day. So the timing of those can be kind of important.
Yeah, and also when it comes to naps, some days are so stressful that your brain needs that extra time. It needs that extra nap to process events. So don't be afraid of that.
Also, if you're rested up and you're taking care of yourself, you can probably do an 8-hour job in about 5. That's just how it usually works for me. If I'm tired, I end up floundering, having brain fog, not being able to think straight. Oh, walking into a room and going, why did I come in here? And wasting a lot of time. Whereas when you're alert and awake, you get a lot more done.
Definitely.
Projectors versus manifestors versus generators and manigens. That's something else that I can go through in a session with people where if you know kind of how you operate, it changes the way you prepare for sleep. If you're a manifestor or a projector, especially projector, you probably need a lot of downtime before sleep. If you work, and just work till you drop into the bed at the end of the night, you're probably not going to be able to fall asleep very well. You've got to take breaks during the day. You've got to take time before bed, at least an hour or two, to just read books, pray, chill. Probably not TV. TV can be very stimulating right before bed. The lights, you really don't want to be watching TV before bed. A lot of people do that. Including my husband.
Or computers.
I'm always like, stop it. Yeah, computers.
Phones.
There's
any
apps
of that.
you can get, like FLUX is one I use if I have to be using the computer at night working before bed, or checking. It can dim all of the blue light from your device. That helps a lot, but better not to use them. But, and long story short, projectors as a whole operate in this world a lot like manifestors in most cases because they see all the people around them. They're not a huge part or the portion of the population, about 20%. They see everyone around them working in the society we have where it's 8 to 5. If you're a kid, you just go all day and then homework until bed, all these activities. And they just aren't given the space or the ability to use their intuition to take care of themselves properly since the time they're children. And so they end up being adults who work themselves way too hard and end up having nervous breakdowns and depression and anxiety issues. And if that's you, you have to realize that your life purpose does not revolve around go, go, go. It's probably more along the lines of creating systems that allow things to get done very quickly that people like generators and manifestors aren't as good at creating because they don't have to, because they can just do the go, go, go thing. My type manifestor and generator, there does come a point where I have to listen. There's a definite, huge stop now, and then I have to stop and take a rest. But I can go a pretty long time before that happens. But if I go past that stop now, and this is the same for projectors, manifestors, you start to fall apart. And it's bad and ugly, especially if you're not listening to that still small voice that's telling you it's time to rest, and you shame yourself into, no, I'd be lazy, or no, this has to get done, or whatever it is. Listen to it. Listen to it. On the other hand, if you're a generator, manifesting generator, it works very well for you to work and go till the end of the day and drop into bed and you sleep great. If you don't use up all that energy, it's like the opposite of a projector. you'll lay in bed with all this extra brain going crazy and can't settle down because you got too much energy that you didn't spend during the day. So knowing yourself, understanding how your body works, and any of the principles we talked about today can help with any of the types. But differences in how you live and lifestyle can affect one person differently than another. And knowing what that is can help tremendously.
We're here talking about sleep, and it's actually mentioned in the Bible in a lot of places. One of them is in Daniel. When I heard the sound of his words, I fell on my face in deep sleep with my face to the ground. Another one from Matthew. When Joseph woke from sleep, he did as the angel of the Lord commanded him. Another one, the distress of sleeplessness and of nausea and colic are with the glutton, which comes from Sirach or Ecclesiastics. They're actually the same book, but they can be divided. So even the Bible talks about getting restful sleep, and sleep being important. Especially if you look at the book of Daniel, sleep is a major way God communicates with people. He uses that to connect, interact, and to give you different perspectives. And I can't tell you how many weird dreams I've had over the years. And I'll be like, where the heck did that come from?
I have one. It's not from the Bible, verses I was raised with. So it's D&C 88:124, and it says, cease to be idle, cease to be unclean, cease to find fault with one another, cease to sleep longer than is needful. Retire to thy bed early, that you may not be weary. Arise early, that your bodies and your minds may be invigorated. And with that in mind, you think about the old days where they were kind of not forced entirely, because they did have candles and fires and things like that. But pretty much when the sun went down, people went to bed. I would say for the most part. And when the sun rose up, people woke up. And I can say when I'm camping, it's much easier for me to go to bed when the sun goes down. And as soon as the sun's up, I'm awake because the sun's shining through the tent. And that cycle of even wintertime versus summertime, that's the natural way that God intended things to be. But now we have all this artificial light where we can manipulate that natural way of being. And oh my gosh, I struggle with that big time. I totally take advantage of nighttime lights to get work done when my kids go to bed. But I have found that the times in my life when I've prioritized getting up early and I'm able to go to bed early, I feel so good and I get so much more done. And I would like to make that a permanent part of my existence. I'm on my way. I'm not there yet. But I no longer sleep in past about 7. But still, I would love to make it 5 someday and then get to bed by like 9, you know?
Well, I tell you what, I'm the same way. Whenever we go camping, and I think a lot of it, too, is you're away from all the electronics and all the signals. So whenever I go camping, I can sleep 8-9 hours. So when I'm here at home, I usually average 6 hours, maybe 7 hours. That's a fairly typical sleep cycle for me. But whenever I'm camping, I get up with the sun, I go to bed. When it gets dark, I will get a long, continual sleep, and I will feel so rested and recovered when I get up the next day.
Yeah,
and it's
such amazing.
And I was so amazed. It's such a difference.
You compound that with pure air, the grounding you're probably getting from the dirt and the trees. Someday I would love to live in the forest. In a log cabin.
I would too. I've always told God that. I said, just put me in a log cabin in the middle of nowhere.
I love nature.
It's
what
so
it can
different.
do. Sometimes nature therapy is a beautiful healing tool when you can make that a regular part of your life.
The greatest gift I had was that I grew up on a farm. There's hundreds of acres of woodlands around. My father, he would get up at 5 a.m. And when he was up, everybody was up. And we would work outside all day. That's some of my best memories. When you go into electronics and the EMF signals.
Yeah.
It's
Day to day.
ridiculous.
We can't get away from it in the city. I've started unplugging my internet at night. I put my phone on airplane mode. That's another thing that I would encourage everyone to do because it's less EMFs. The effects of EMF radiation from your alarm clock was used as a part of this study. It was part of the department. The study was able to prove that EMF radiation inhibits the body's ability to properly produce melatonin, which, as you probably know, is our body's hormone that regulates sleep. The reason this happens is that the pineal gland, where the melatonin is created, interprets the radiation as light and doesn't want to allow you to sleep. So EMF radiation from something like your alarm clock, your phone, keep your phone as far away from you as you can. Don't use it as an alarm clock if you can. Like, really, get it out of your room. I can't stress that enough. And as the EMF is being absorbed into your body and your body's affected by it, there's symptoms such as headaches, skin irritation, fatigue, moodiness, memory problems, and it's actually a very extensive list. Those are just a few of them that EMFs are manifesting different problems in different people. And if you're waking up with any of these, you can't identify what it is, it might be the EMF radiation in your bedroom. And one of my goals someday is to build a house that literally has a Faraday cage around the bedrooms, like copper in the walls, so that I can sleep in a Faraday cage.
Surprisingly, there is paint that you can buy that eliminates all signals.
Really? What?
It is expensive.
Oh, that's okay.
But
tell me what it is.
I forget, it's an EMF resistant paint, because I know this one guy, he lived in a city and he was having problems sleeping and acting, and he figured it was all the signals coming in. So he literally painted all the rooms in his house with this paint that repelled signals and the EMF.
And it worked.
And it worked.
Yeah.
Once he did that, he was able to sleep again.
Did it affect the signals that he was able to receive? Did he have to go outside?
He had a single hard line coming into his house, into the router. But his cell phone, he couldn't connect outside while he was inside the house.
Yeah. That's
and he
cool.
said, and it made
I'm
a
going to
total
have to
difference.
research that, and we'll put that in the show notes. We'll add a link to that. And there's other EMF Harmony is on my website under the support this website section. I do get a kickback from that if you want to support. If you don't want to support, just go to the website, emfharmony.com. I really do like their products. For computers, Defender Shield. That's a good thing to get for under your computer. The infrared sauna by Sunlighten is very low EMF, so that when you're getting in the sauna and you're opening yourself up in all your pores, that you're not inundated with extra EMFs. Like that was specifically made with that in mind. But again, just getting as many electronics out of your bedroom as possible while you're sleeping. Turn off the internet if you can.
And just be aware of this. I know where I drive to and from work, there are a series of high voltage power lines that go right across the road. And when you're stuck in traffic, you can actually hear the crackle of the electricity being emitted from these things.
Yeah, my sister called me. She asked me, how bad is it if one of those lines is by your house? We love this house. We want to buy it. I was like, don't buy it. Don't buy it.
No.
Do not buy a house by those.
The big high voltage, they look like the steel.
Or if you live by a phone tower, right by one of those.
Cell phone towers.
Those aren't the best to be by either. Yeah, if you suffer enough, it might be worth it to move. A consideration if you realize that that's going on. What else comes to mind is supplements that people take like melatonin or other supplements to help them sleep. My roommate in college, her dad took NyQuil every night to make him sleep, which is basically alcohol. I'm like, oh dear, like that's really awful. But being dependent on things like that because they're just so desperate to get to sleep and struggling in that way, and I get it. Or sleeping pills. Melatonin, CBD, they have the same quality as Prozac and a lot of other drugs, to be honest, where when you give your body melatonin or CBD, your body already makes melatonin. It already makes the chemicals that CBD causes your body to produce. When you take melatonin externally, your body, even if you're not producing as much as maybe needs to because of the things we've talked about, probably from the EMFs to the light and so forth, or being overly exerted or underexerted at the end of the day, but you're giving your body more melatonin and your body communicates to itself, we have too much melatonin. And it will start to produce less. So when you stop taking melatonin, or maybe you run out or you don't take it, you will have a harder time producing your own melatonin because your body has been given too much through the supplementation. Even though maybe you need it, but you need to find out why your body isn't making as much melatonin as it needs, because it will tell your body to make less if you're giving it melatonin.
Right.
Same with CBD, the same kind of chemicals that can calm you down. It will say too much, stop producing them, and then when you get off the CBD, your mind, your body can't handle it. It's more irritable than it was before. So same with Prozac, you're going to produce less serotonin, and then when you get off Prozac, it's hard because then your body's not even producing as much as it was before. So it's this vicious cycle.
If you feel that you truly do need to take any of those supplements, you don't have to take the dosage they recommend. There's been a couple times when I had difficulty getting to sleep. I took a little melatonin, but I literally broke that pill into fours. And I took one little corner, and that was more than enough that night.
And making it not every night thing, but maybe I'm at my wit's end, I gotta do something. Lord, what do you think? And if God says, take the melatonin, then take the melatonin. But
right. Like I said, again, nobody knows your body better than you. If something works, always try and do the least amount, because you don't want to upset that balance.
Yeah.
And you don't want to do it on a regular basis, because then you become dependent. So it always starts...
Then you get that tolerance, and then you need more, and so forth. And it's the same, I believe, with melatonin and CBD. Your body starts to produce less and less and less, so you take more to compensate. And it's not a real great place to be. But I actually have a really good testimonial from someone who listens to this podcast. She will remain anonymous. But she reached out and she told me that when I did the podcast about getting off of the Prozac and how I realized I just didn't need it anymore, she had been taking sleeping pills for a very long time to help her sleep. And it made her question whether, do I still need this? And she stopped taking the sleeping pills and realized she could sleep. And so sometimes it's just trying, asking the Lord, what is it that I can do instead to navigate this process of weaning off of this so that I can do something different and take better care of my body. But it was a miraculous win for her, and I'm so happy that someone listening to the podcast was able to benefit in that way.
Right.
Any kind of independence, freedom that we have when we are able to take care of our own needs versus relying on pharmaceuticals is, I believe, a huge, huge win.
Agreed.
Just a few other things that I wanted to mention. Warm milk, there's something to that. Our mothers and grandmothers that gave us warm milk, calcium will calm you down and help with sleep.
Also, apple cider vinegar.
Really?
Before sleep. It actually helps regulate sugar spikes. Which then
in
affects
the middle of the night, because people will wake up.
In the middle of the night.
Yeah, they'll wake up hungry or just wake up because, that's a really good point. I'd forgotten about that.
I've actually started doing that. And also fish oil, which you've mentioned before.
You can do tea, like horsetail, comfrey, oat straw, and lobelia. Makes a really good calcium tea if you don't do milk. And chamomile is calming.
Another thing you should do is set a time where you stop eating. Normally 7, maybe 8 o'clock at night at the latest, you should truly stop eating. It helps you sleep better, because if you go to bed with food in your stomach, your body automatically produces energy in order to break down that food.
Makes sense.
So you're trying to go to sleep, you're trying to relax, while your body is like, oh, there's food in the stomach, we cannot go to sleep yet, we need to process this.
Yeah.
And it's
it can
working
feel really
against
heavy
you.
too if you're like laying in bed after eating. I've experienced that. I have learned the reality is we weren't always living in a society where food was this readily available. People in the old days, they ate less frequently, and they would eat when they caught food. They're hunter-gatherers. They would catch food, eat it, prepare it. They might have one meal a day, maybe 2. And they usually ate within a time window when the light was out, and then they would stop eating. But that intermittent fasting in between is so good for your body. The problem with most people who have issues with weight is that even if they're eating tiny bits throughout the day, they're not giving their digestive system a break. And if you give it that break, it's huge, like life-changing. If you're only eating in an 8-hour window, whenever that is, I tend to get up and get going with my day.
But the apple cider vinegar, I will tell you, since I started taking it, I'm not as hungry anymore, especially at night. Wake up in the morning, I don't have those hunger pangs anymore. I have a big jar of the apple cider with mother.
Right, the raw one.
So you got to have the mother in it, the raw. I'll take 2 tablespoons and mix it with a glass of water and then drink it through a straw. I would not recommend drinking it straight, because the acidity, it can damage your teeth, the enamel, because it's so acidic.
So brush your teeth after too.
I've started taking some magnesium. Because that's supposed to be beneficial for sleep.
Not only that, it's supposed to be beneficial for protecting against EMFs, ironically. Magnesium Breakthrough is the best supplement I know of for magnesium. Highly recommend that one.
And then the other time I will take apple cider vinegars when I first get up before breakfast. And since I've been doing that, I've noticed a definite change, not only in my sleep cycles, but also in my energy levels. When I'm traveling, the next best thing is the capsules. I do get better results with the liquid.
If you did the apple cider with a morning herbal tea or a chamomile at night, it would be
you can.
Easy way to just kind of get both in. And the apple cider vinegar, from what I understand, helps you absorb the herb extraction better. Coffee. And a lot of people rely on coffee to wake them up. And I'm all about, I think there's mud. I've never tried mud, but it has a bunch of stuff in it that's supposed to kind of wake you up. But it's food, and the green type powders are really good for waking you up.
Here's something interesting. Again, know your own body. I have a friend who has ADHD, and they drink coffee to calm down and to make them tired because their body has
a alternative to Ritalin. I gotta say, way better than Ritalin. So yeah.
Some people react that way.
Let God tell you what you need today, right now. If you have desires to learn more, He can lead you to whatever next step there is to your healing. But a lot of times it's stepping stones, and this is better than that, and good, better, best processes.
True too, where you have to listen to that inner voice. You have to listen to God, because He made your body. He knows your body better than you do, and if you listen to Him and take His advice, He can lead you in the way that it will get done. Simple as that.
Absolutely, 100%. And with all of this sleep talk, we want to end with a little bit about John's experience last night. He had a fun vision, let's just say. But go ahead, because I haven't heard the full story. And we're telling you because we're asking for your prayers and support, in a nutshell.
Right. It's very interesting. The way my gifts work is I do get visions, typically when I dream. Sometimes I'll have a waking dream, like a deja vu type moment. But more often than not, whenever I go to bed and I have a dream, God takes me elsewhere. Sometimes it can be a very straightforward vision. Sometimes it can be symbolic. What happened last night, again, just realize some of this is symbolic, but then towards the end it got to be a little bit more personal and direct. I've been having a lot of these dreams lately where I'm going around warehouse and I'm going room to room and cleaning things out, getting rid of things that aren't needed. It feels like I'm doing a lot of prep work. So this vision started out with me walking through the town where I live, and as I was walking, people were occasionally coming up to me and smiling and saying hi. And as this was happening, I also had another individual walking behind me, and I instantly recognized him as my guardian angel. And he had a warm smile as he was listening and watching and also protecting me. Additionally, as I was walking, I began to notice other figures keeping their eyes on me and shadowing me, like they were taking mental notes of things. I eventually went into this warehouse that I guess I owned, I'm not sure. And I was walking through, looking at it room by room and noticing different rooms were totally empty. They had been cleaned. I walked into a couple rooms and said, I still have a couple more things to get rid of here. We're scheduled to get rid of that soon. So it's like everything is going according to plan. Everything is being emptied. Everything is being prepared. And then I realized, it's time for me to sit down and do my broadcast. And my broadcast wasn't just online, but apparently it was being sent over radio waves. So I came into like a 2-room house, very basic, and I sat down behind my new computer. And if you ever saw Good Morning Vietnam with Robin Williams and how energetic he was and bombastic he was, I was like that. I'm going, all right, we got a great episode today. Just before I was able to go on, there was a knock on my door. So I got up, opened the door. There were these 2 large security guards. Big, bulky, probably like 7 foot tall. The one looked at me. The mayor wants to see you. And I'm like, what's this about? He's like, he wants to talk to you about your podcast. And I was like, well, I guess I can go. So they escorted me through the town into the mayor's office. My guardian angel still walking beside me. It was almost like they didn't see him. He was still there walking, warm smile on his face. Like, wow, the mayor's actually taking an interest. This is awesome. I also noticed as these big guards were escorting me, they were nervous. In fact, I felt like they were more intimidated by me. Eventually, they took me into this little side office. It had a little end table. I came in and sat down. The two guards came in, and they stood behind me a little bit. It took a few minutes, and then the mayor walked in. He looked like to be a man in his 50s, early 60s perhaps, but I immediately knew that it was Satan. He was taking the guise of an authority figure. And he looked at me with a kind of disgusted look, almost like tired, like, oh my gosh, we got to do this again. And he sat down across from me at the table, and he's like, John, we have a problem. And I said, okay, what's the issue? He's like, you're talking to too many people. You need to be quiet. You are disturbing this quiet little town that we've built. It's nice, it's peaceful, it's going along the way I want it to. Your broadcasts are interfering with that. You're causing ripples. People are starting to talk, causing problems. You know, we've had this discussion before. You're a pain as it is, and now you're doing this on top of it. It looked like he was frustrated, and I told him, I have a free will. I can talk, I can say whatever I want. You can't tell me just to be quiet. That's your problem. If what I'm saying doesn't fit, then that's on you. And he kind of sighed. He's like, look, first of all, you don't have the authorization to do what you're doing. What you're doing is against the law. I'm trying to be nice here. If you push this issue, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of your equipment. Next thing I'm going to do is put you in jail and lock you away. If that doesn't work, then I'm going to get serious, because I'm not going to have you keep doing this. Looked at him a minute, and I'm kind of chuckling to myself. It's like, what are you talking about? This is totally absurd. And I said, so you said I don't have the authorization. He's like, yeah, you have not gone through the proper channels. You're not allowed to do what you're doing. There were 3 pieces of paper laid out in front of him, apparently 3 podcasts that we had done that he was looking at and getting mad about. And at that moment, I had an infusion of knowledge. I reached into my back pocket and pulled out a folded up document that had just appeared. It was like a piece of paper, and it was glowing white. And I looked at it and smiled and said, oh, by the way, before I did all of this, I already received authorization. And I took the paper and I slapped it down on the desk in front of him, and it began to glow. And I said, I already have permission. You can't touch me. And he realized that he had an issue.
Or evidence even.
Or evidence, yeah, evidence to use against me. It's very ironic. I had a vision probably around February of last year. I was talking to a couple angels or saints, and they were telling me things that I was going to be doing. And one of them had taken a piece of paper and put it in my shirt pocket and said, you'll need that. It was the same paper that now, last night, I took out of my pocket and put down in front of him.
That's cool.
Satan reached down and put his finger on the paper, and as soon as he did that, there was like a flash of fury in his eyes. Then all of a sudden he sighed, got a very dejected, defeated look on his face, and he didn't even look up. He just raised his hand and waved it at me and says, get out. At which point, I woke up.
And I also remember you telling me that you had received a calling from God, basically telling you that you were going to be speaking to lots and lots of people at some point in your life.
Yeah.
And you're going, but I don't want to. And then we started doing this, and it kind of opened at least that beginning door for that to start happening. But this was way outside my comfort zone, but something that I felt like God was asking me to do, and that's why I'm doing it. I think It would really be awesome if anybody who's listening today was willing to pray for specifically the Overcome Depression podcast, John, and me and our families, so that we can continue to make this podcast available to you. There are certain things that we do need in order to continue that happening. Our health, our finances, and our time, which we are guarding and doing our best to provide. But I think that there's forces at work that don't want this to happen. So we need prayer warriors who are willing to fortify those areas so that we can continue to be as smooth a process as possible. I would love that. It's pretty hard to scare me. So I think we're in good company here, and I think the people listening, a lot of good supporters out there, appreciate you. Thank you for being here every week and for supporting this. Thank you again, John. We are so happy to be doing this podcast. I know this is several months ahead of ourselves. We've got a lot in queue, but we just released number 30 this week. That's monumental, almost a third to 100. And we're getting a lot of really great support, a lot of downloads, a lot of great comments from you guys. If you haven't signed up for the newsletter yet, it's free. If you don't want to listen to an hour-long podcast, the newsletters are like 5 minutes of your time and give quick and easy supplemental tools and materials that will help you to overcome depression and have greater joy in your life. So I encourage you to sign up for that, and you'll get a free session with me. I've started doing that.
Yeah, that's how Jennifer and I met, was through a session.
It'll just allow us to scratch the surface, but give me a chance to thank you for being here and get some face-to-face with some of our followers as well, and a little bit of encouragement in an area that you need to boost. So that is my hope that you will take advantage of that. Now that we have completed this podcast, so many fun things in store, and I hope you have a wonderful day ahead. This is the Overcome Depression podcast. I am Jennifer.
And I'm John.
We will see you next time. If you are new to this podcast, please go watch all of the hashtag introduction videos first, and then consider downloading the Overcome Depression workbook. Links in the description. The content in this podcast is based on my own personal beliefs, is for informational purposes only, and is not intended to substitute for medical advice, diagnoses, or treatment. Please refer to the full legal disclaimer in the description.